There's so much heaviness with this pandemic, and Stephen, I so appreciate the story that you shared, so thank you so much. We met earlier at breakfast. So it's hard to follow a wonderful story like that, but I would like to lighten things up and talk about dancing and joy. As a wellness organization, we talk a lot about wellness, and Dr. Richard Carmona spoke about wellness from a perspective of looking at the whole person, mind, body, spirit. And one of the best ways that I could think about to cultivate wellness is through dance. When we think about dance, we could travel the world through dance. It seems like all cultures perform and enjoy some form of dance. Historically, dance is important in rituals, in ceremonies, in celebrations, and if we think about the definition of dance, it's to move rhythmically to music, typically following a set of sequences of steps. So I'd like to make this interactive at this point. I hope some of you in the audience and those of you virtually could think about this question, but I hope some of you in the audience would be willing to share your answer to this question. What kind of dance do you like to do and why? I thought you would say yes. She said, thank you, Kim. She said, I like to do salsa because her husband is Cuban. Thank you. Anyone else want to answer the question, what form of dance do you like to do and why? Oh, a microphone. Thank you.
I don't think what I do has a name, but I like to, and you may see me later on the dance floor, but I like to move because it's a great release of energy and it just feels good after, and so I love it. Not a very good answer, sorry. But
I love it. We don't even have to name it, but it feels great.
Feels good.
It feels good. So I've asked this question. I work at Canyon Ranch. I'm a physician at Canyon Ranch. I've asked this question to friends, our colleagues, our clients. I've heard things like, it allows me to be someone else. I have my work self and I have my dance self. I've heard, I dance because I'll go insane if I don't, and it's cheaper than seeing a therapist. So when we think about dance, we could really put the benefits in terms of well-being of dance into 6 categories. We could think about the emotional benefits in terms of increasing our mood, as well as feeling calm. We could think about the physical benefits in terms of fitness, in terms of balance, muscle tone, coordination. We could think of the benefits in terms of our self-esteem, in terms of self-confidence, creativity, body image. We could also think about the social benefits. Dance is a great way to meet new people. Dance is a way to connect with our partner. Dance is a way to create a community in terms of dancers. Coping strategies, we can think about how dancing could help soothe the mind, dancing could help fight stress, and we could think about the spiritual benefits. When we think about dancing, we could think about how it nourishes the soul. And when we think about dancing, we're in the moment, and that's called mindfulness. We're not thinking about what has happened in the future, or what's going to happen in the future, or what has happened in the past. It might allow us to feel centered and to feel grounded. This is one of my favorite dancing pictures, if you will. It allows me to think about the idea, and I wonder, what if I wrote a prescription for dance, just like I would write a prescription for a medication? What would that look like? And when I think about writing prescriptions, I usually write the name of the medication, the dose, what to take, how often, and refills. So maybe for a diabetic, I might write for metformin, 500 milligrams, 1 tablet twice a day, 60 tablets with 5 refills. So if I wrote a prescription for dance, it might look something like this: Zumba, 1 hour daily, every day, refills a lifetime. I love the idea of thinking about how dance can help in terms of medical conditions. So if I clump the first four together in terms of the impact of dance on medical conditions with obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes, we could think about dance as a preventative medicine strategy. Dance could also help as a treatment strategy. It can be modified. It can be low impact. It could be high intensity. And for some people who might not feel as comfortable going to the gym, perhaps dancing might be a nice alternative because all shapes and sizes of people dance. And there was a meta-analysis study looking at dancing, and it found that moderate intensity dancing was associated with a lower risk of cardiovascular disease, so heart disease. And moderate intensity dancing would really be dancing to the point where you're a little bit out of breath, dancing to the point where you work up a sweat. So who can't do that? So that's something we can consider. Depression and anxiety, dance can be therapeutic. When we think about dancing, it might be a way for us to just relay our feelings non-verbally. There was a study looking at mild depression, and if we utilize dance movement therapy, it improved their psychological well-being. And there's an association, the American Dance Therapy Association, and there's a connection with that association looking at the connection of movement and emotion. So I live in Tucson, Arizona, and I love to dance, and so I was at a Zumbathon at our local YMCA, and they kicked off the YMCA Zumbathon by having a woman talk about her Zumba experience. She shared that her husband had passed away, and she had grief with her loss. And she said her friends encouraged her to go to a grief support group. But she said she wanted to be happy, so she decided to go to a Zumba class, and she said she's been dancing ever since. So I really think, and she said dancing made a huge difference. So in terms of our mood, dancing can be beneficial. Stress, dancing is a way to buffer the everyday stress that we can feel. In terms of chronic pain, we can find how dance, we think of, in medicine we say, motion is lotion, and by moving, that can help with joint pain, can help with fibromyalgia. And then if we think about cancer, for patients going through cancer treatment, for cancer survivors, dance can be a way to feel good about their bodies, could be a way to express themselves in a positive way. I've had my patients with cancer share that they feel as if their body has failed them, and through dance, it allowed them to feel good about their bodies. And there was an interesting study looking at ballroom dancing, not just for cancer survivors, but cancer survivors and their partners. And it was a really interesting study teaching them about ballroom dancing, and included a few parties as well. And it was a really nice way for the cancer survivors to start exercising again, because too often exercise goes by the wayside. Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is a degenerative disease in which it's a movement disorder in which patients have tremors, they move very slowly, and their muscles become rigid. There are lots of studies showing the benefits of dance for our Parkinson's patients. And there's an organization called Dance for Parkinson's, and their website is danceforparkinsons.org, and they're in 25 countries, so it's a huge organization. And it's the concept that the rhythmic movement of dance can help with our Parkinson's patients who might have a hard time initiating movement. They might have some freezing, and it allows for them to start moving again. Dementia. If we think about dementia, we know that the risk factors for heart disease are similar to risk factors in terms of dementia. And what the studies show that's interesting with dance is that dance enhances our memory formation. Those of us in the room who dance, who have to remember the choreography of the dance, maybe it's good that we don't know the name of the type of dancing that you do because you don't have to remember the choreography. It really allows us to work our memory, and it allows us to utilize those skills. And there was a study called the Bronx Aging Study. It's an older study that was published in 2003 in the New England Journal of Medicine, and it looked at patients who did not have dementia over the age of 75. As they age, what leisure activities were associated with a lower risk of developing dementia? Well, dancing was one of them, as well as reading, playing board games, and playing musical instruments. So lastly, I'd like to talk about osteoporosis. When we think about osteoporosis, we know if someone doesn't have good balance, then they are more likely to fall. If you fall, if you have osteoporosis, you could sustain a hip fracture. So there are great studies looking specifically at the tango. So if we think about the tango, you have to put your weight on one leg, move your other leg back, and then slide back. And so in our everyday life, we don't walk backwards. But with dancing, you walk backwards, and you develop those skills. Another reason why I like to recommend dancing is the joy of dancing. When I think about dancing, I think about the music. I think about the idea that I'm dancing in sync with the music, perhaps dancing with my partner, maybe in sync with the whole class. And there's something to be said when you're in the groove when you're dancing. But we could also foster wellness not just through joy in terms of dancing, but we could foster wellness through dancing by having a sense of purpose. If we dance, it might bring meaning to our life. So that's another way we can foster wellness. Dance also allows for connection, and we can foster wellness through connection, but also joy. So I want to talk a little bit more about joy in laughter. And if we think about laughing with tears of joy, the American Psychology Association defines joy as a feeling of extreme gladness, delight of the spirit, arising from a sense of well-being or satisfaction. And the definition is that joy, there are two forms of joy. There's active joy and there's passive joy. Passive joy is that tranquility that we might feel, that sense of contentment, happy the way things are, which is a wonderful feeling. Active joy, on the other hand, is a desire to share our feelings with others. It's associated with being engaged with our environment, and both are equally as beneficial. And then I can also think about laughter. Those of us who dance, we laugh when we're in dance classes, and we can dance by ourselves and laugh as well. And laughter is a universal language. If we think about a smile or a laugh, even if I don't know the language and I'm traveling around the world, I understand the emotion behind that. And for centuries, laughter has been good medicine. What I love about laughter is, as good medicine, there are no side effects, and it's free. So it's something to think about. We also could think about the physical or the health benefits of laughter in terms of our cardiovascular system. Laughter increases blood flow, and it can allow for dilatation of our blood vessels. It could help with our immune function in terms of increased production of antibodies. It could also help with pain. It releases endorphins, which are our body's natural painkillers. It could help with our mood, depression, and anxiety. So laughter is something that I think we need to think about more. Because if you think about when is the last time you had a really good belly laugh? You know, one of those laughing episodes where you don't even remember why you're laughing, but you can't stop laughing. That's beneficial for us. So when I think about this quote, and this is a quote that I heard another global wellness speaker, Sandy Abrams, share in her lecture from the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and it says, sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, and sometimes your smile is the source of your joy. So we have been talking about dancing, we have been talking about joy, so I think it's time for all of us to have a prescription to dance. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask everyone to stand up, and Kim is the first one standing, I love it. And those of you virtually, if you'll join us, that would be great. And so let me put this down. And I'm gonna lead you guys through a Zumba routine. So let's go ahead and play the music. Okay, you're gonna squat first, we're gonna clap. Other side. Now we're gonna go up. Now we're gonna clap around. Okay, grapevine. Last one. Okay, you're gonna run it. Faster. Body roll. Shoulders. Again. Last one. Drums. Okay, this side. One more time. Okay, now you're gonna run it. Faster. Body roll around. And now we're gonna step forward. Up. Crossover.